Look, I know I said I would review a show that isn't another video game cartoon. However, I was gonna do this video last year, but I had trouble with it and scrapped it. This led to the Night of the Werehog video, and that is why I look like this. After all, it is Kirby related and everyone loves Kirby. Especially as of this year with 2 games within a year, and another one coming next year. So let's get started. It is once again that time of year, everybody. It is the season of the spooky. I will not let these sprites go the waste, so a Halloween video is what you get. Would you look at that too? I can finally make Kirby content. Better yet, this is also the anime, which is, in my opinion, the only show 4Kids didn't ruin with their censorship. Like, it gave us Southern DDD, which is everyone's definitive voice for the character, for whatever reason. However, we are not going to be talking about the show itself. We're actually going to look at a Halloween-themed episode for it known as Scare Tactics, Parts 1 and 2. You guys might as well buckle in because it's going to be one of the show's many 2-parter episodes. This is also going to be more of a linear review as opposed to my usual review videos on cartoons, so yeah. Anywho, let us begin with the actual episode. It begins with Kirby and the other kids playing a friendly game of soccer. Suddenly, Tough kicks Kirby so hard that he is yoinked straight to the sun and the episode ends. I'm kidding. He lands in the forest and Tiff goes to get him. As they get out of the forest, Tiff steps on a rope and gets jump scared. Mr. Curio, the mayor, and Chief Bookham step out, seeing that their trap was successful. They tell them that they are preparing for the spook out that happens tonight. Quick lesson here, actually. This is actually based off of an actual event, and no, that event is not Halloween. Apparently. It is based off of a Japanese event called Kimodameshi, which translates to Test of Courage in English. This is an event where people walk through a hallway and get constantly scared to gain courage. They even call it Kimodameshi in the Japanese version. They also see the townsfolk reminiscing about their times with the spook out. Even the wives are talking about meeting their husbands at the event, which is probably the most unrealistic thing I've ever heard. Relationships made in high school last longer than that. Anyway, they even bring up other children meeting their future partners at the event, and just like that, a subplot that goes nowhere is born. So the kids agree to go to the event, and with further convincing, Tiff agrees. DDD catches wind and wonders why he didn't get invited to the event. Escargoon explains it may be done because DDD is really good at scaring everyone, causing them to be extremely jealous. DDD decides to create his own spook, and Escargoon encourages him further by bringing up Kirby's participation. So they go to customer service to buy a monster. Due to unpaid debts, they are unable to, so they decide to create their own ghost instead. I actually like that they do their own evil scheme as opposed to buying another monster, because 99% of the time, they buy a monster to take care of their predicament. Think of it as a villain of the week formula. So it is refreshing to actually do something themselves. That night, everyone meets up for the spook out, and Iroh is sent to go out first, in which he immediately comes back after getting scared. Tiff and Kirby decide to go next, with Tough following along. After some jump scare shenanigans, Chief Bookham checks on them. He runs into an elaborately made ghost and realizes that nobody made this ghost. Therefore, he runs off thinking it is an actual ghost. However, it is revealed to be DDD and Escargoon with their custom-made ghost. Bookham then tells the others of the ghost. They realize that they might have inadvertently summoned ghosts with their fake ones, and that scares them all off. Kirby and those kids hear what's going on, and they decide to move on. DDD and Escargoon realize they aren't afraid, so they change tactics. So they pull out these glowing ghosts that were hinted at earlier. By the way, these ghosts are called Hitodama, which are said to be souls separated from human bodies. This trick backfires, but that doesn't stop DDD from trying to scare them. So they decide to use the ghost on them, and they're about to get one over them. However, Kirby latches onto the ghost, causing Escargoon to break character. DDD realizes that the scheme is foiled, so he has to do something himself. Tiff realizes DDD and Escargoon's plan and turns the tables on them. After some Escargoon jump scare shenanigans, Kirby is disguised as a pumpkin and scares them off. Kirby and those kids move on afterwards, realizing the rest of the trail will be easy. They make it to the cemetery and find where the prize is buried. However, it turns out to be a badge used for bragging rights, which Kirby is happy about because he is Kirby and he is happy about everything. Suddenly, It begins raining out of nowhere and a strange house spawns out of nowhere. So they use it to shelter until the rain blows over. Unfortunately, Kirby and Tiff get trapped inside and Tuff runs to go get help. Tuff runs into Meta Knight and he tells him what went down, and this makes Meta Knight suspicious about the house. As they run back to the house, Kirby and Tiff encounter a strange spirit that is slowly forming.
Who's behind these sinister spirits? And will Kirby and his friends survive them? Find out next time!
Did Sonic just tell me to stay tuned? Nevertheless, that's where the episode ends for now. Overall, this is a pretty nice first half for this Halloween special. We get some really good insight with the side characters. DDD and Escargoon, as usual, are the characters that steal the show, and they actually do something themselves. They easily have the funniest moments in the episode.
Stop it! It's me, Escargoon! It's only me.
I also appreciate that the inspiration from Japanese culture is there. It also does a good job expanding on its ideas and transitioning to the next part. There was barely any censoring for this version besides the scene for the Japanese version that was removed entirely. So with that critique aside, let's get to the next part, shall we? It picks up where the last one left off, and the spirit actually gives chase to them. Meanwhile, Meta Knight tries to open the door, but he realizes that this house is no ordinary house. He comes to the conclusion that this is the doing of Enemy, or Nightmare Enterprises. A few trap shenanigans later, and we come into this terrifying clock room. I am exaggerating, of course, because this is the only tip of the iceberg for Kirby's scariest moments. Like, nowadays we live in a world where this is a Kirby boss. Anywho, while I may be sarcastic, this scene actually made me uncomfortable upon my first viewing. Maybe it's because of the outdated CG, it gives me heavy Carnival vibes. Meanwhile, DDD and Escargoon are stuck in the rain. They find the haunted house and get in pretty easily. Meta Knight catches the door just in time so they can get in. This is something I just realized. Couldn't the reveal of this house happen later? Because DDD and Escargoon walking into the house would make a decent hint? Anyways, Tiff slowly starts to see through the house's illusions, and the gang managed to reunite. So they decide to get one back again by pulling off an elaborate trick and
Flappin' Flotsam, what's that?
well, it could be worse. This could have been the uncensored version. After that terrifying experience, DDD and Escargoon separate temporarily. DDD gets jump scared by a polter painting, which was actually a winning entry for a contest, surprisingly. Meanwhile, Escargoon tries to wash the red paint off and also nearly gets bludgeoned to death. I would like to play the scene that comes afterwards because I thought it was really wholesome.
I done mistook you for a ghost.
How many ghosts take showers?
I was looking all over for you, fool. I was almost worried.
You mean you were afraid for me? Thanks for caring!
Then, right after that, they get jump scared and run off, and it's revealed to be Kirby in disguise. The two run off believing the ghost is after them, and they find themselves in a strange room. There's a screen that reveals it to be customer service, so they devise a plan to trap Kirby using King DDD as bait. DDD pretends to call for help as Kirby and those kids find a videotape, where they filmed a video to make it seem like DDD's in danger. Wait, how did they manage to record all of this without attracting any attention at all? Furthermore, in the scene, why did they rewind and fast forward the clip when they were right there to begin with? I don't know. Upon rewatching this episode, this scene always bothered me. Anywho, they easily take the bait and run down, not before showing it to Meta Knight. They arrive in the room where DDD automatically breaks his character. Before Kirby can come save him, Meta Knight barges in and saves him right on time. Realizing it didn't work, customer service sends a monster to take Kirby by force. Oh hey look, it's the Gabon enemy, now with opposable thumbs. Gabon seems to have won over Kirby since he consistently throws his bones at him. There's also the fact that the bones can't be used against him. Yeah, it's a pretty rare occurrence for Kirby not to use the enemy's attacks back at him by inhaling. That's a pretty rare occurrence and a pretty interesting idea. Meta Knight, being the only character in this episode with a brain, tosses a torch over for Kirby to inhale. He becomes Fire Kirby and burns Gabon to death, which prompts everybody to leave because the house is burning down. Unfortunately, DDD and Escargoon are burned alive. Just kidding. They make it out because of course they do. It's a cartoon and you're practically incapable of death if you are a cartoon character. After escaping, DDD and Escargoon argue whose fault this is and fall asleep. Kirby does the exact same thing because it's literally daylight outside, which concludes the second part of this Halloween special. I love that this episode completely goes hard on the horror aspect, since that is one of Kirby's defining traits besides cuteness. I love the homages to horror movies as well, like that horrifying out of nowhere Exorcist reference, because that was actually kind of unexpected and random and out of nowhere. I don't know what prompted this to happen, I don't know. There's also a full recreation of the shower scene from Psycho. Lastly, yeah. It's a surprise 4Kids barely had to censor the English version of this episode. Overall, a pretty fun second half of this special, and this half alone is the reason why I rewatched the entire episode. Even if it does have that one scene that bothers me, and the, messily constructed mystery. Well, it's that time of the video again, where I have to conclude once more. Yeah, I know. Honestly, this is actually my favorite episode in the entire show. Sure, it may have some competition with Fright to the Finish, but this episode was really fun. The first part never felt like a slog to get through. There was actual interesting stuff. That stuff being the ties to Japanese culture and the insight into the side characters, making it very interesting. Also, it was really funny. Like I said, these two carried the entire episode, as they also carry the entire show. The second part is where the fun begins, however, with how surprisingly creepy it is, probably due to the lack of 4Kids butchering, but I don't know. It is a Halloween special after all. Well, that is going to conclude the video. Time for me to spend another 2 months getting something out for December. Bye! Also, yes, I indeed kept the Were-Darnius sprites. I am not letting those go to waste.